Alright guys, welcome back to another Opera Omnia video where we're going to be talking about Snow, who is going to be getting his LD weapon and his rework with the upcoming Snow Intersecting Wheels, or Intertwined Wheels as I would like to continue calling it because I think it sounds better. But yeah, so we're going to be talking about what he's going to be getting with his rework, his LD weapon, and whether or not it is worth pulling for or holding off until his BT release. So we're going to be talking about all of that in this video. So as always, if you guys do enjoy the video, consider liking the video and subscribing for future Opera Omnia content. Let's go ahead and jump into it, guys. Let's talk about his rework, his LD, and whether or not you should pull on his upcoming banner. So we'll first start off with Snow's rework. Now his skill 1 Steel Guard ability, it got an additional 2 uses. Then it now becomes a 6-hit ice melee brave plus an HP attack with brave potency of 70% per hit. Now this ability doesn't increase the turn count, but it does decrease when using him during burst phase, summon, and friend support turn count. Now when it comes to his skill 2 Frost Strike didn't get any additional uses, but it did get an increase in brave by 200% of his initial brave, and it now becomes a 2-hit ice melee brave plus an HP attack 3 times with the brave potency of 70% for the first 4 hits and then 80% for the last 2 hits. Now he does allow for 150% stolen max brave overflow. He does increase his brave by 20% of the total HP damage dealt after each attack, with an HP heal by 20% of the total HP damage dealt up to 50% of his max HP, and the excess heal is converted to brave. Now his LD ability called Ice Ramp, he increases his brave by 300% of his initial brave, and it now becomes a 6-hit group ice melee brave plus an AoE HP attack dealt 2 times with a brave potency of 90% per hit. He does increase his brave by 30% of the total HP damage dealt after the first HP attack. Now this attack does deal split HP damage to all targets. Now it does inflict the ice resist down to all targets for 6 turns after his first HP attack, and he also grants himself a brand new buff called Vendetta. Now he does give himself 2 stacks of the Vendetta buff, which this buff, whenever you use his LD ability, lasts for 12 turns. Now the Vendetta buff gives him an ice enchant, which, you know, I mean, he basically does ice overall in his kit pretty much, but yeah, it's a little, I don't know. Yeah, so he does get an ice enchant by 20%, a 20% HP damage up, a party HP regen by 10% of your max HP, a party except to himself brave damage resist up by 60%. Now with this Vendetta buff, he does trigger an attack before his initial turn, so it'll trigger either the Retribution attack or the plus version. It just depends on the amount of stacks, which this buff has a max stacks of 2. So normally at the beginning of the fight, since he does start off with this buff, he starts off at 1 stack, and there is a difference between both of them, which we'll get into here in just a second. But the plus version is whenever you are at 2 stacks, but after you use Retribution Plus, it reverts back to the 1 stack. Now it does increase by 2 whenever you use his LD ability, so you get that automatic 2 stacks right there and then. And it also increases by 1 whenever he receives any brave or HP attacks. And whenever you give him his LD boards and whatnot, etc., via the character boards, he does add party HP damage resist up by 30% and a brave gains up by 30%. And this only applies to him, not to the party. The party would have been a nice feature, but no, this is only for himself. Now, Retribution. It triggers while Vendetta is at 1 stack at the start of its turn. So this is a 3-hit AoE Ice Melee Brave plus an AoE HP attack, follow-up attack 2 times. Now he does this before you click on any of his abilities. And the funny thing about this though, is that let's say if you use his call ability, or if you use a call ability that is equipped on him, right? So let's say if you throw Jack's call ability, he finishes his attack. Well, guess what? This Retribution attack triggers. You use the other call ability, let's say like the LD call for Jack's Jack's call ability, bam, Retribution kicks in after Jack leaves the field. And the same thing goes if you use his C65, which is kind of funny. So in a way, you can spam his C65 in case you need to, like, say, shave off some Brave that you're having trouble shaving off, or if you just want to get some additional HP attacks onto the enemy, then you can actually use his C65 and it will trigger this Retribution follow-up attack, which is kind of funny how it works, but I mean, it works. And you know, doing that has actually saved my butt a few times, or has helped me in shaving down some Brave onto the enemy. Now, this does have a Brave potency of 50% per hit. It does increase Brave damage dealt to a single target by 60%. It does have a stolen max Brave overflow, and this does deal split HP damage to all targets, but he does increase his Brave by 30% of the total HP damage dealt after each HP attack. So that's you know, some extra HP damage that he's going to be dealing. And he does inflict the ice resist down to all targets by 4%. Now, the plus version, the only difference between both of them is that the plus version gets an additional 2 HP dumps. So it has a total of 4 instead of 2. And that's pretty much it. So now we get to the point in the video where you guys decide whether or not it is worth pulling for Snow's LD weapon with his upcoming release. Now, I feel like a lot of players might actually pass up on him, especially to those who have Ornn, because of course, everybody hyped up Ornn, and for good reasons. Ornn is a very good tank. He does counters every time that he gets attacked, which is great. And with the fact that he does inflict a debuff, also helps him out with his damage, and he has melee resist down, so that'll help out his teammates as well. But with Snow though, Snow is more on the defensive side, in my opinion, even though he does have those follow-up attacks before you do anything on him. I do feel like it's still pretty convenient to have, and I feel like it's a character that I feel like should not be overlooked, in my opinion, because of the fact that, like, you have additional HP dumps even before you deal anything. Before you even click on any of his abilities, you have an additional way to shave. He does inflict ice resist down, and most of his attacks are ice based, so you already know that he's going to be dealing weakness damage, which will help out a lot. And with his LD ability, with his Vendetta now providing HP regen, Brave damage resist up, even though it's not as high as Ornn's, because I think Ornn's is 80% if I'm not mistaken, it's still pretty good on what he has. Also, Brave gains up in his overall kit is really good, because that way you know that he'll be able to deal some pretty good damage. And at the same time, HP damage resist, that is another good add-on to have, because that way, you know, you already know that if, say, like, if you have call abilities that may or may not help in defending against HP attacks, that at least you know that you have Snow in helping you reduce the amount of Brave and HP that the enemy does hit you with. So is Snow actually worth pulling now, or is he worth pulling whenever he gets his BT release? I would say if you do have the extra tickets, I would say, you know, throw some tickets at him. In my opinion, I think he's worth picking up now with his LD, and then, like, if, say, you plan on tokening his BT later on, then it is a pretty good option, because it does save on your resources. But that just depends on how your resources are looking now. But if you feel comfortable enough that you don't need Snow, that you're good with Ornn or any of the other few tanks that we have, like, say, Zac as well, then I would say you could probably pass up on Snow. But in my opinion, for me myself, I am going to be throwing some tickets at him, just because, like, I do like the fact that he does have that follow-up before you do anything with him, and the fun fact that you can actually have a little bit of fun with his C65 with just, like, call abilities, because guess what, that's going to be additional follow-ups that he's going to be dealing onto the enemy. So if you need yourself a good tank, especially if you're a brand new player who just started recently, and if you missed out on Ornn, Snow is definitely not a bad option to pick up, in my opinion, just because, like, I mean, for me, it's definitely got to be the initial follow-ups, and the fact that he is able to reduce Brave and HP damage. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below, what your plans are going to be for his upcoming banner release, if you're going to pull for him or not. Do let me know in the comments. And of course, if you do enjoy the video, like the video and subscribe for future Opera Omnia content. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in my next video.